Well, that's one way to kick off your mod. Nothing like nuking a city by way of a gargantuan cyber demon to grab the attention, but in any case, welcome to yet another edition of Doom Mod Madness, where this time we are focusing on a mod by the name of Endless Madness. As for what exactly is happening during the course of the 11 maps contained within this mod, I'd say that that's where it becomes a little difficult to coherently explain. You've got demons, ghosts, Russians, submarines, ponies, Donald Trump. So yeah, on second thought, I'm thinking coherency is probably a bit of a lofty ideal to shoot for during the course of this video, so you know what? We're just going to take this mod as it comes. The first level isn't anything particularly complicated, and if I'm going to be honest, its most notable feature is probably the skybox. All those lovely nuclear detonations going off in the background actually serving to further illuminate whatever location you're currently fighting through. It's actually a really nice visual touch. As for the gameplay, you get introduced to the pistol, the shotgun, and of course the railgun during the course of this level, and the railgun, I have to admit, is pretty nice. Not only does the projectile eviscerate the first thing it hits, it continues traveling, producing a veritable conga line of gore, and should you decide to use the secondary, it simply produces a slower projectile that allows you to save on ammo cost. Surprisingly, the pistol here has a use beyond being the first weapon you have to plink away at enemies. The primary shot actually turns out to be really accurate at long range, whereas the secondary practically turns it into its own Gatling gun. Bonus points for the Kenshiro mode you can activate for the pistol, which allows you to infuse it with a little bit of extra Fist of the North Star spice. The shotgun here also has a few tweaks. Its primary fire very accurate in comparison to the more scattershot nature of the original shotgun, and the secondary allows you to ping off a triple shot. Pretty handy for dealing with multiple enemies in a confined space, or even better for dealing a concentrated blast of damage to something a little bit more, let's say, robust. But yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said that this level isn't really all that complicated. There's no keycards to find, there's no switch hunts to engage in. It is pretty much a straight shot from A to B through a variety of rooftops containing oodles of enemies, and then at the end you are forced into a battle royale with fellow UAC Marines for the right to enter the shelter. This, believe it or not, is a lot less tricky than it sounds. Basically, the majority of Marines here manage to off themselves in relatively short order, leaving you with barely a handful of them left when it comes to mop-up duties. You may have a few troublesome railgun enemies to deal with perched atop far rooftops, but really, nowhere near as difficult as it may have first seemed. If anything, I actually felt a bit guilty about how easy it actually turned out to be. That feeling is somewhat magnified by the revelation that the commander here was actually joking all along. He didn't really intend for us all to go and murder ourselves. It was a prank, bro. It was a prank. Dickhead. With a pile of corpses at the front door and a name like Vault 666, there's no possible way that anything could ever go wrong during the course of the following level. None at all. Vault's haunted, fuck this, fuck you, and more importantly, fuck that pun right in the ear hole. I get it, it sucks. Oh god, it gets worse. Fuck you. If there's anything positive I could, in fact, say about Vault 666 as a level, it's that I will freely give it props for featuring some interesting kinks in the level design. For example, there's a few invisible teleports here that will swap around the structure of the corridors while you're not looking, but it's a trick that's all too easily revealed once you take a peek at the minimap just to see what's going on. Also, you do gain access to the grenade launcher during the course of this level, so, you know, small mercies. Following level, Hot Juicy Lava goes some way to wash the sour taste of ectoplasm from my mouth by presenting an altogether much more manic experience. You've certainly got more interesting visuals to enjoy, what with the oversized object decorations, collapsing ceilings, hordes of enemies, and let's not forget a lava pit with a submarine. I should probably move. Regarding the level as a whole, it's a largely linear experience, and the only real considerations you're going to have to make here are when is the most appropriate time to duck into these little alcoves at the side. Basically, if you hear the submarine surfacing, you best get to cover. But yeah, that's the level. That's it. Fun while it lasts. Oh no. Oh no, they did a politics. They've done a politics in my video games. Oh, Jesus Christ, how will I ever live? Anyway, welcome to Russia. There's a reason why we're here. It was in the flavor text, but I've kind of forgotten. I think the Russians gave the demons a nuclear submarine. So now we're fighting the Russians. It's fine, I guess. I got a grenade launcher and they're all hilariously bad shots. Antagonize them long enough for their crappy aim, and they start sending out the tanks, which deliver a little bit more of a kick when you've got a barrel aimed at your face. In any case, there is certainly more efficient methods of taking care of an entire army full of cross-eyed soldiers, and that will require you fighting your way to the back of this reasonably expansive map. You'll know you're in the right place because there's a big fat door that says exit. Oh, and a crap load of demons turns up. Now, I'm trying to figure out whether they actively start infighting with the Russians or whether that's just happenstance because there's a shitload of one and the other and there's no way for any of them to get along without accidentally throwing a fireball into each other's faces. But hey, I'll take it. But I'm just saying, the delicately constructed narrative of this mod up until this point implies that the Russians were colluding with the demons, hence why they were able to get their little mitts on nuclear submarines. I mean, are you just gonna throw that in the trash? You're gonna throw all of that careful world building into the fucking fire? It's almost as if I'm playing some kind of joke wad that doesn't really give a shit. Now, you might think there's something worthwhile on the other side of this building, but, oh, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. You know, there's only so many puns a man can take, damn it. As with most things in life, what's the point in doing anything unless you're gonna get your hands on a super weapon at the end of it? Which is why it's pretty vital for you to climb this particular building here. The tanks are a little easier to take care of than you may think, and occasionally you'll be able to catch them in the nuclear blasts of the missiles launched from the submarines in the bay. Yes, this is all stuff that's happening at once, and provided you make a speedy ascent, you should be able to nab the whatever the fuck it's called. It looks like 3 BFGs glued together. The Rave Gun. That's the name I was searching for. Anyway, pro tip, if you don't want to go commit die, you want to be standing very far back when you fire this thing. Also, additional pro tip, try not to be in an imminent nuclear blast zone. Happily, there is actually a teleporter on top of this building, which will let you witness the fireworks from afar. And having survived that, you can then go on to just thoroughly decimate the ever-loving shit out of any enemy that dared look at you funny during the course of this level. I'd be hard-pressed to say that there's much more to it than that, but what else do you need? The following level is almost immediately a letdown for one very specific reason. But once you get over the frankly absurd limitations foisted on you by the dimensions of this level, you start to realize there's a few interesting bits and bobs littered about. One in particular is a new enemy type here. The Hacker, as I've taken to calling them, can't actually deal any damage to you, but can instead cause your aim to become extremely erratic. It's also during the course of this level that I discovered the AK is quite possibly the secret MVP of the weapons roster, especially when regarding its alt-fire, which allows you to spawn multiple ghost AKs that'll hover around in the air and just absolutely devastate anything in the immediate area. The bullets are phenomenally powerful, able to cleave through barrens with ease, and anything left over, easy pickings. As for other notable aspects of this map, there's obviously Project Orange Man, combining the DNA of human and a fruit, resulting in multiple Donald Trump clones. Somewhat surprisingly, once you fight to the back and turn the email server back on, you can actually reprogram the clones to go and fight on your behalf. So that's a thing. Final section of the map leads you into a gargantuan room containing what else but a big sod-off cyber demon, which enigmatically cuts to black before its detonation can potentially kill you. Who? What? Why? Him, teleport, reasons. All I know is the son of a bitch takes my rave gun, and nobody takes my goddamn rave gun. Yes, it is a lovely super weapon, you absolute piece of crap. Oh shit, this mod's reading my mind. Welcome to Ponyland! I've long since stopped caring why I am doing this. All I know is it's happening, and I'm gonna have to deal with it one way or another. I am still trying to figure out whether the demons are in league with Ponykind. All I know is that there's multiple plushies of Rainbow Bright or whatever the fuck it's called floating around, and every now and again I catch a random fireball up the jacksie from one of them. So as far as I'm concerned, they're all in league with Satan, and everything must die. Apart from this one. This one's fine. As for the level itself, it's candy-coated bullshit. I mean, look at it. I mean, genuinely. Honestly, look at it. If there isn't a purer representation of hell in video games, then you know what? I just haven't experienced it yet. Did it just get cold in here all of a sudden, or is it just me? Weird. Ever played Ghoul's Forest? Ever wonder what might happen if the protagonist swapped out his bow and arrow for a super shotty? Well, wonder no more. Honestly, the best part of this level is just following the hunter around and watching him 360 no-scope ghouls in the face. And admittedly, that is 99% of what this level's about. So, yeah, I'm okay with this. Quite frankly, you can just hang back and let him do all the work for you, because he is deadly accurate with that thing, and in some cases is just able to flat out propel himself across the map with shotgun blasts, which is just mad. And believe it or not, you can do something of a similar ilk. I'm not sure if you can pinball yourself to the same ridiculous degree as the hunter here, but you can in fact take advantage of shotgun jumping courtesy of the ridiculous recoil on the super shotty itself. Not that it really pops up all that often in terms of being a useful thing to do during the course of the maps here, but hey, it's a thing. I have to admit, this section does end up dragging ever so slightly towards the end. I mean, sure, they add a few extra variety of ghoul into the wave attack, but after a while you just sat there thinking, yep, I get it. Are we done yet? After dispatching the ghouls of the forest, one last mission is left for us to undertake. One that requires a nuclear submarine ride. Of course! One that lands us in a mysterious chamber where a message unfurls to greet us, and, fuck.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
So, in a joke wad that pays homage and satirizes various other notable mods, the question arises, how do you go about doing that when it comes to the concept of a Terry wad? I mean, in my mind, they're their own satire, they're their own parody, because Terry wads are almost always universally shite. And therein lies the dilemma, because somewhat paradoxically, this map actually has a lot of really neat ideas running through it. I mean, just look at this gravity flip section, it's awesome, and quite frankly, that disqualifies it from being an effective Terry map, because already there is far too much effort present in the design here. I mean, I'll freely admit that there's a high degree of jank in this concept. I mean, how can there not be? The movement is a little weird, the momentum is strange. Trying to bridge the gap from this platform is a little bit more difficult than I imagine it should be. And it's one place in the entire mod where shotgun jumping actually came in handy. But quite frankly, the most Terry this map ever gets is that trap at the very start. It gets that shit out of its system real quick. And admirably, it has fun with its own gimmick. I thought that gravity flip would have been a one and done, but no, you've got this extra section here having you gingerly make your way along the walls. Say gingerly, because that momentum is a killer. And yeah, it's just far too competent. Far too interesting for me to regard it as paying anything other than lip service to the screaming nightmare that is the Terry wad. The skybox is a nice touch though. Plummeting through to the exit for this section, the nausea soon gives way to a different concept. Say goodbye to the gravity flip, and say hello to the idea of killing X number of Romero heads. Honestly, not a lot to say about this section. I mean, by this point in the mod, you are fully aware of how utterly OP the vast majority of your weapons are, which makes dealing with barons, cyber demons, and what have you utterly trivial, so it is literally a headhunt. Make sure you scour every corner for that one infuriating Romero head you may have missed, and for those of you furiously typing in the comments right now, yes, I can hear you. I know I'm probably saying Romero wrong. Romero, I genuinely don't give a shit. Final section of this level is nothing short of a gargantuan clusterfuck in the most wonderful of ways. It grants you access to this downright glorious minigun which tears through enemies like they're made out of wet paper towels, and funnily enough, if you fire at the cyber demon long enough, the force of the bullets can easily force them off the edge of the map. You also get reunited with the blessed Rave Gun here, which is vital for dealing with the various uber cyber demons posted at the fringes of the map, because you're not really going to be able to deal with them effectively otherwise, and you best watch out for their volleys. If you're stood a little too close to the edge, the force from their blasts can occasionally force you over the edge if you're not already unlucky enough to have all your health sapped from being directly in ground zero. After all, there are 4 of the fuckers. Yep, not an easy section to get through, and after being away from my blessed Rave Gun for such a significant length of time, which I should clarify is any, I had to relearn a bit of a vital pro tip.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
You know how I said there was only one place in this mod where shotgun jumping came in handy? I lied. there's another. In fact, I became convinced at this section that I may have missed something because I wasn't entirely sure that was how I was supposed to access this final section of this map. I thought maybe a wall would drop around here, granting me access, allowing me to circumvent that broken bridge. But hey ho, here we are. Heaven or hell, let's fucking go! Again, pretty difficult. All of the challenge here is backloaded in this mod, and I feel like at some point I managed to shoot myself in the foot, or I came a cropper of a bug during the course of this, because there's power-ups that are supposed to increase your max health by +5 each time you pick them up, but I've only ever been able to get a max of 200 health. And I feel that somehow I'm at a disadvantage here. Now, some of you might be wondering why I haven't just done a straight run to the ending switch once and for all, extinguishing the spirit of Terry, by the way. And that's because you can't flip the switch until you've killed all of the Uber Cyber Demons and all of the Uber Spider Masterminds that are littering this arena. Yeah, a bit of an ask, but helpfully I have a supreme, all-encompassing tactic that has got me through many a bullshit situation such as this, and it is called cheesing the ever-loving crap out of it. You see, mercifully, the back end of this map is unnecessarily large, allowing me to put a significant amount of distance between me and those big-ticket enemies, which, as you've guessed, means my best friend the Rave Gun here can come out to play. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. Anyway, the guy that took your Rave Gun cloned you, and now they all get to shoot you in the face at the same time. Okay, thanks, bye. You know what? I actually had fun with this one. It's an unexpectedly well put together joke wad, a nice collection of skits and gimmicks as far as levels go, that ultimately had me entertained. I can probably point to a few levels that maybe didn't land. The Vault 666 level for one. The ghost enemy types are already a pain in the ass, and then you've got the god-awful Punnage, so it's like a double whammy of please God make it stop. But yeah, for the most part, the rest of this works a-okay. There's a nice sense of fun threaded throughout, and one guy's awful pun is another guy's knee slapper, so hey, your mileage may vary. The levels themselves are relatively bite-sized, so you don't have to worry about any given gimmick dragging on for too long before you're shuffled on to the next, and all in all, I'd say it's a decent way to waste an afternoon. So yeah, if this tickles your pickle, sinks your submarine, detonates your local tank battalion, then this is probably going to be well worth a whirl. So if you're interested, link, as usual, is in the description below. Oh, and before I forget, if you ever run out of ammo during the course of this, you can also just rip off your arm and fling explosive blood all over the place. Because yes, that is a thing you can do. Man, this mod was a lot to process. No surprise then that I'm planning on getting mildly inebriated after I'm done editing this, but before I do that, I would like to give a great big thank you to my wonderful patrons over on Patreon. Thank you so very much for supporting the channel and for helping to make content like this possible. If you're interested in lending a hand yourself, maybe you'd like to see your name in the credits, maybe you'd like to gain early access to my videos before anyone else, if that's the case, you'll find the link to my Patreon page also in the description below. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments, and feel free to suggest any mods you'd like to see me cover in future editions of Doom Mod Madness. This has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.